Hi there, my name is Jack Wallen, and I'm here to talk to you about something that I think is important, and hopefully you will find it important as well. But before I get into this, I need to make a preface. In my last video, which I talked about being non-binary, there were some comments that people were referred to my channel from developer videos or admin videos and other technology videos. And they were like, whoa, what is this? I don't understand what's going on. So let me explain. My YouTube channel is broken into two parts. The first part is this. And this started out a long time ago, probably over 10 years ago. It started out as a little video series called Me and My Muse. And if you've been paying attention over the past year, you know that I have taken Me and My Muse and turned it into a very big and complicated stage production. I know, it's crazy. That series eventually evolved into the Me and My Muse series was essentially me talking to my muse about the project I was writing the books I was writing. That eventually evolved into me talking to artists about navigating life, because let's face it, it is not easy to be an artist in this world. And sometimes, most of the time, a lot of the times, all of the time, we need help getting through the day. It's just not easy. Okay, so the second part of this video channel of mine is called Linux 101. That is about the Linux operating system. I talk about how to use it, why it's important, and other issues surrounding that. So if you were referred here by a technology video or whatever, and your only interest is technology, then the Linux 101 series is for you. So when you see a video and the title starts out Linux 101, watch it. If you see a video that doesn't start out with the title that doesn't start out Linux 101, watch it anyway. You might learn something. At least you'll get to know what makes me me. And maybe, just maybe, you'll even be entertained for 20 or so minutes. Who knows? Okay. Done with the preface. On with the video. What do these people have in common? Rosa Parks, Mohandas Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Susan B. Anthony, Jesus Christ. Can you guess? They all broke norms. Yeah, they did. Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King fighting for racial equality. Mohandas Gandhi, peaceful protesting. Nelson Mandela, apartheid. Jesus Christ, well, I think you know about that one. Oh, Susan B. Anthony, suffragettes. Yeah, they broke norms. And imagine this world had they decided against breaking those norms. Where would we be? Well, apartheid would probably still be a thing. Racial inequality, okay, it's still a thing, but it would be a much bigger thing today. And Susan B. Anthony, women might not have the right to vote, and more. And I don't really have to explain Christ, what he did. So I break this into three categories: laws, rules, norms. Let me explain by way of myself. Let's say I walk into a restaurant, buck naked, nary a stitch of clothes on my body, not even my glasses. Maybe I haven't even taken a shower, so my hair's not done. I stank and I'm naked. I'm probably going to be arrested for public indecency because I broke a law. Now, let's say I walk into that same restaurant without shoes on. Probably going to be asked to leave because I broke a rule. Now, I could probably go back out into my car, put some shoes on, and go right back into the restaurant, and they would say, welcome, welcome, welcome. What would you like to eat? Now, let's say I walk into that same restaurant with a ball gown, a tiara, and 6-inch heels. I'm probably not going to be asked to leave. I'm probably going to be seated. I'm probably going to enjoy a meal with some wonderful people. And I'm probably going to get some stares. And people are probably going to talk about me. Because I broke a norm. Back in high school, you remember high school. I barely remember high school because it was so long ago. But when you're a senior and you got your senior yearbook and everything, people are voted on what they're most likely to do. At least they were back in my high school in northern Indiana back in the 80s. Well, I was voted 2 things. First, I was voted most likely to appear on Broadway. I did that, thank you very much. Second, I was voted most likely to start a fad. I did that as well. Why? Why was I voted most likely to start a fad? Well, okay, confession time here. Back in high school, I kind of made it my mission to break norms. Here's a good example. I remember one day waking up thinking, what can I get people to do today? So I stuffed a stuffed animal into my backpack with its head sticking out. And I went to school, and I was walking around, and people were looking at me, well, why does he have a stuffed animal in his backpack? Well, guess what? The next day, everybody was doing it. Everybody had a stuffed animal in their backpack, and nobody was second guessing what I had done. They just followed. They just followed suit. And I'm not going to lie, I continued doing that through high school. And then eventually when I went to college, I still regularly broke norms, but I didn't do it intentionally. It was just a part of who I was, who I am. And if I were to put on my therapist or psychiatrist hat on, which I'm not, but you know, we all have these fake hats like Monday morning therapist instead of Monday morning quarterback. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. I might think that it stems from my home life, because my home life was very, very broken. There was a lot of abuse, a lot of horrible things. My mother was physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive to my sister and I. And my father was a saint. He was a kind and gentle soul, and he pretty much saved us from all of the horrors that my mother would inflict upon us. And so that's probably where it all started from. Because I had no control over things at home. But when I was in school, I could have a modicum of control. And when I went to college, I kind of took it up to the next level, but it was all about me. I didn't make it about anybody else. I wasn't trying to prove that I can get other people to do things. I was just, all of a sudden, the breaking of the norms was a way for me to express my individuality. And that became absolutely crucial to who I was. And again, I think that stems from my childhood, because growing up, I did not want to be like my family. I needed to be an individual because I was afraid if I didn't, I would turn out like them. And I didn't want to do that. So I pushed the boundaries. And a lot of times those boundaries were pushed with the way I presented myself. And I remember, like I would wear my pajamas to class, but not in a way to come off lazy, but it became a fashion statement for me. And I would pair different patterns and colors and items of clothing together that shouldn't work together. And they probably didn't, but I did it anyway because I wanted to say, look, I'm not going to adhere to your norms. I will follow your laws. I will follow your rules. But I will not follow those norms if they are counter to me being authentic to myself. And here's the key. This is important. It's one thing to break the norms if your authentic self is a good person, if you're not breaking norms to do harm. Because there have been people out there who have broken norms to do harm. Think Hitler. Worst case scenario, Hitler. I can name a couple of other names, but I'm not going to go there because I don't want to make this political. But I think you can read between the lines. And after a while, all of a sudden, I started to develop my own norms. What does that mean? Well, I would often, I like, look at my hair. Okay, look at my hair. Now, in my defense, I was a hairstylist for a while. So having a crazy hairstyle has always kind of been the thing. I mean, I wore mohawks. I've colored my hair every color of the rainbow often all at once. And some people would call it a fashion statement. It's not a fashion statement to me. It is a statement of my individuality. That's the key difference for me. So here's another example. Here's a recent example. I went to Target last week. I went to Target wearing a skirt and like a long sleeve t-shirt or whatever. And I got stares, of course. I'm used to that. And because the reason why I think that happens is because people see that and they say, okay, that's not normal. That makes me uncomfortable because I have spent years putting everything into these boxes, into these categories. And by doing that, I can be comfortable in my life and in society. And that's great. That's great. If that's what you need, that's great. But the thing is that not everybody follows along that same pattern. Not everybody needs or wants to compartmentalize everything. Now, at the same time when I'm getting all of these different stares and people whispering, I also get people showing me their support. Like I was out in the checkout line and a young woman looked at me. She said, "Nice skirt." I said, "Thank you very much." Same thing happened 2 days ago. I walked outside because Amazon had delivered a wrong package to me. They delivered a package that does belong to the people across the street. I pointed over there because that's where the street is. And they got my package. So I'm walking out. I'm in a skirt and I don't remember what was on top, but I handed the people the package and the lady was like, "Nice skirt." I was like, "Thank you." And to me, my modus operandi has been to try to normalize that. And over the years, there have been, and I'm not putting myself in the same category at all, but over the years there have been trailblazers that have taken it upon themselves to try to normalize things that were important to them. And had it not been for those people, things like same-sex marriage wouldn't have happened in this country. People would see gay couples outside and who knows what would happen. But because of those people, those trailblazers that normalized that, it's more accepted today. And you can go through history And you can find all sorts of people who have done similar things, who have taken it upon themselves to show society that sometimes it's not just okay to break norms, but it betters humanity when you do so. Look, imagine a world where everybody dressed the same, where all music was pretty much the same, all movies were pretty much the same, the books you read were all the same. That'd be pretty boring, wouldn't it? There's an old adage that says variety is the spice of life. And that is so true. My wife and I are very keen on eating ethnic foods. We eat Indian food 3 times a week. We eat Mediterranean foods. And we love it. It's wonderful. And it breaks up the monotony of eating the same things over and over and over again. And isn't that kind of a special thing for us humans, that we have the ability to kind of break through the stagnation and present ourselves in different ways, do different things, taste different foods? Imagine at some point there was a chef that said, to hell with the norms, I'm going to make this. And all of a sudden we had fusion. I remember in my early days of studying theater, when we studied absurdist theater, and I loved it. I loved absurdist theater. And a lot of people didn't like it. But what they didn't quite understand is, had it not been for absurdist theater, the art form would have stagnated. And pretty much all we would have are big box musicals. But instead, we have an entire rainbow of different styles of theater. Norms are broken for a reason. And some people feel compelled to break them. Some people, on the other hand, feel compelled to keep them. And that's fine. Regardless of which side of the coin you land on, it's fine. But the important thing is for people like me to not look at people who prefer to retain the norms and say, you're boring, you're wrong, you need to evolve. At the same time, the people that don't prefer breaking norms, they shouldn't look at those who do break the norms and say, we don't want you. You're not accepted. Get out of here. It's one thing to break a law. I don't break laws. I don't break rules. Well, okay. I have broken some rules. I very often break rules when I'm writing, but the only reason I break the rules is because I know the rules. But boy, do I break some norms. And I'm going to continue breaking norms. I'm not going to stop, because it's who I am, because it is an expression of my individuality, and I value individuality so much. Being an individual is kind of what got me where I am today. Because I'm not afraid to break norms, I feel, and please don't take this as me bragging or patting myself on the back, because I don't do that. But because I am so willing to break norms, I feel like it opens the roof for my creativity. And instead of having such a narrow focus on what I want to try within the realms of my creativity, it means I can, everything is just open so wide, and I can find inspiration in anything. And that inspiration, because I'm so keen on breaking those norms, that inspiration can lead to wonderful things. Here's another example, the Me and My Muse project. I sent a message to the director the other day. We haven't even had our first rehearsal yet. We've got a ways to go. But I sent a message to the director the other day, and I said, I want to kind of dismiss the norms of theater. We're going to deconstruct it, and we're going to treat this theatrical production more like it is a television production, with the lighting, the sets, with everything. And the reason why I feel so compelled to do that is I feel like theater in this town in which I live has become stagnant. And I feel like I can push it forward, just give it a little nudge. Give it a little nudge by breaking some norms. And I know that it takes a modicum of bravery and silliness and sometimes stupidity and a willingness to make people uncomfortable, to break norms. Now, I'm not talking about a life-changing level of uncomfortable. It's like the uncomfortable when I walk out in public wearing a dress or a skirt. Yeah, there are going to be some people that are uncomfortable. But I'm not hurting them, not hurting anyone. I'm actually helping me. And I'm helping others. Because it is my hope that eventually it might get normalized. It might become common. It might become a norm. At which point I'm just going to have to break it again and figure out something else to do. I don't know. Another story for another day, I guess. Look, I'm not advocating that everyone out there should find a norm and bust it up. I'm certainly not advocating breaking rules or laws. But if there is a norm out there that goes against your authentic self, and by breaking that norm doesn't hurt anybody, doesn't pull society backwards, does no harm, then break it. Because if it can help you find or move forward your authentic self, it is a good thing. Again, as long as it's not breaking rules or laws, because we don't want to go there. We want to be kind. We want to be good. Sometimes, this is important, so please pay attention. Sometimes, a kindness to yourself is the best kindness you can offer. Because very often we forget to be kind to ourselves. It's one thing to be kind to other people. That's easy. It's really easy to be kind. It is so easy to be kind to other people. It takes no effort or energy. Doesn't cost you any money. It's just A simple little thing. But why is it so hard to be kind to ourselves? Look, I know I keep mentioning this and harping on this, and I hope it's not making anybody uncomfortable. Irony. There was about a decade in my life where I shrugged off my authenticity. And I wore drab clothing. I wasn't me, and I wasn't happy. I was miserable. It also happened to coincide with a 6-year stint of a job that I had to take that was probably the worst decision I had made to date. And then, gosh, just a year or so ago, I finally said, enough. I can't do this anymore. I can't not be me. I can't stop being inauthentic, because it's doing more harm than it is good. So I said, I'm going to do this for myself. I did this kindness for me, and I have been much happier ever since. I have been me. Now, I'm scared. Of course I'm scared. Every time I go out in public dressed like in a way that is not the norm, I sometimes worry, is somebody going to, I don't know, attack me, pull a gun out and shoot me just because I'm not normal? In the next 4 years, it's going to be even harder. But I am determined to be truthful to who I am out in public, so that I may pave the way for others to do the same thing, for others to realize I can be me. I can be authentic. It's not easy, but it's worth it. So, don't be afraid to break norms. Just don't. And if you see somebody breaking a norm, accept them. As long as that norm is not doing harm. I mean, if you see Nazis walking outside, don't accept that. Cock your fist back and get ready to punch some Nazis. Sorry, I didn't mean to take it there. Let's end on a positive note, okay? Anyway, I really want to thank you all. In my last video where I talked about being non-binary, there were some of the most wonderful, wonderful comments. And some of them just lit my soul up. And it meant the world to me. So just know that I do read the comments, and I try to respond to them as much as I can. And I so appreciate you. I really do. That's from the heart. And I hope that maybe, just maybe, my words help if you need it. Anyway, thank you so very much for spending a little time with me today. I hope I've entertained you or enlightened you or whatever. But thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope that you and everyone you know and love have a wonderful, wonderful day.